Good evening, members of council, ladies and gentlemen, staff. I see that we have quorum, and I call this regular meeting for the town of Pelham for Monday, March 19th, 2018 to order. We will start by singing the national anthem. I would ask all who are able to rise and Councillor Papp to lead us.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Councillor Papp. Thank you all for attending. We have a full house this evening, and rightly so. We have a little bit of business to do before we hand out some certificates and honor some important people in our community. So if you'll let me do that, and then we'll get to the presentations. So it has been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved that the agenda for the March 19th, 2018 regular meeting of council be adopted. I do have a couple of amendments to this. Councillor Ribiak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to add to the agenda an item 11.1.2, a letter from the Niagara Central Dorothy Rungeling Airport Commission requesting that nominees be presented to act on an ad hoc committee.
Okay, thank you. Is that his signature? Is that your signature, too?
It's Councillor Durley and King.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So Councillor Ribiak moves that, and Councillor King, will you second that?
I will.
Okay, thank you. And then we also have information here from the treasurer, debenture substitution amendment item 11.2.3, and I have that Councillor Durley and Councillor King will add that. Is that fine, councillors? Okay. So I'll call the question on those items. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. The agenda is amended. Are there any other changes to the agenda? There being none, I call the question on the amended agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. The next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. That is any conflicts of interest that any members of council may have. Do any members have any conflicts of interest?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Can that be so noted? Now we move to presentations, and I would ask the Deputy Mayor to assist me by coming around and coming to the table here. Now this is something that we've been wanting to do for a little while, since this tournament. And we always like to celebrate the successes in our community. And we had a major, major success with this outstanding hockey team beginning of this year. And that was the first Pelham Panthers team in the history of Pelham Panthers to win a Silver Stick tournament. This is the, well, there they go. There's the members of council, ladies and gentlemen, these are the Pelham Panthers Midget AE team. They are the International Silver Stick champions. They defeated the South Muskoka Bears in the final game in triple overtime. The final score of the game, 3-4, goals by Josh Major, Nicholas Longo, and Matthew, how do you say that name, Matthew? Dorado, thank you, just as it looks. After 30 minutes of overtime, the winning goal was scored by Evan Lacroix. Congratulations. We know that you put a lot of work into playing hockey, and when you're on the ice, you're there as a team working with each other, and it obviously shows. We also recognize the excellent coaching staff that are there to support you, and your parents, many of whom are here this evening, to support you in your endeavors. When an event like this happens, the entire town is very, very proud of you. And council wanted to recognize your contributions and your success. So we have little certificates that Councillor Papp and I would like to give to you on behalf of all of council and the community, and we also have these little chocolates if you like some chocolates. So take the chocolate.
So are they any dentists?
Yeah. So let's start with Owen Leduc. Congratulations, that might be great stuff there. Why don't you gather around here, and then we'll do a group photo. Nicholas Longo, 3. Well, what do you think? Give him a round of applause. And we got to give one for Owen too. Josh Major. Callan? Bertucci. Callan Bertucci. Congratulations. Number 7, Quinton. Nice job. Mitchell Walt. Damian Puller, number 9. Cam Chrysler, number 10. Caden Stewart, 11. Jeremy Pullard. We're in the A. Congratulations. Evan Lacroix. Carson Stoll, 14. Campbell Bell. Harrison Dome, 16. Captain. Matt? Antonio DeCellis. Jake Nunn. Josh Powell. We also have the coaching staff, Harry Powell, head coach. Mark Leduc. There he is. Stuart Wright. There he is. Todd Major, manager. Randy Chrysler. And we also have one for the sponsor, Powell Drywall. So this is history, gentlemen, right? This banner will go up in the new community center. So congratulations to you, the first Pelham team to win the International Silver Stick. Congratulations to you. So however you want to listen to the big guy here, Mark.
We're gonna have to squeeze in a little bit there, gents. Preferably tall guys in the back.
There it is.
Get you lift the trophy up, just perfect.
Look this way all at the same time.
Looking good, boys.
There you go, guys. See the,
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, they gotta get the meeting going.
Congratulations. Well done.
When you guys make the big show. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let us know.
Let us know.
know.
I thought you were gonna play beer
How are you? Nice to see you.
Hey, no problem. Thanks.
Guys, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Way to go.
Great job. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Very much.
He's not coming. No, you watch and see. I guarantee you, he will not come.
It's pretty good.
Ever. Would you?
You know, it's really hurt people being able to sit in chairs.
Why would you show up? I wouldn't have done what he did.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in.
First time, sounds great from the beginning. I said, I was going to email him before and ask him to send me a phone book.
So now we have another couple of presentations that we'd like to make. And I've asked Councillor Kersey to join me because he actually serves on this committee as well, council representative. This is to recognize first something that the town has received and been acknowledged for the last, this is the 4th year. The Summerfest, as we know, is an extremely important festival in our community. It brings the community together, and the volunteers that I'm going to highlight momentarily are the ones that spearhead this along with very dedicated staff. And so many in the community volunteer and make sure this is a huge success for the community. So here we are. Councillor Kersey was there as well to receive this. This is Festival and Events Ontario congratulating Pelham Summerfest for one of the top 100 festivals or events in Ontario for the 4th year. So I'd like to invite those members of the Summerfest committee that are here, Candy Ashby, Bill Gibson, Sally Yeager as staff, Bill Sheldon, John Wink. There's other members as well, Michelle McKellar, Matthew Leask, and Sophia Leverchosa. Congratulations. Thank you very much. This is an outstanding festival. Chair of the committee. Thank you. And we have these little thank you chocolates that we would like to give you.
That's what I need.
Thank you very much. So, Vicky,
Mr. Mayor, we'd be remiss not to recognize B. Clark as well. B was
Okay.
a founding member of this committee.
all right,
Way
come on
back
in,
in the
Dee.
day.
Oh, no, put it down here.
Okay, Mark organizes.
Yeah. John, maybe I'll get you to go to the middle with the award.
I can't see.
Don't hide.
Perfect. Over here, Vicky.
Perfect.
So, isn't that amazing? Pelham recognized as one of the top 100 events in all of Ontario. Congratulations and thank you so much. Doing that over again. You don't want to say anything? No.
See you tomorrow night, right? Yes, that's good.
All right, thank you very much. Gary, come on. So we heard, before you go, we caught wind of this award. And I wanted Gary, because he was at the event as well when we received this, and Peter as the deputy mayor, because we need to thank these very dedicated staff. This award is the best greening of a festival event, and it's the Pelham Supper Market, $100,000 or less for the event. This award recognizes the 16 weeks each year in the summer where the supper market gathers, and staff have worked tremendously, and volunteers have worked tremendously to green this event. One of the important factors is the reduction of garbage. It used to be lined up every week, and now because they work together with the vendors, because they work together with the community and taught the community how to do it, and the signs and all that, the garbage has been reduced essentially to zero. But it also includes things like the Pelham Transit. It includes the walking groups. It includes active transportation has a long part in this as well. The bike valet, so many other aspects of it as well that have really turned this event into. There's only one of these in the province. The best greening event or festival in Ontario last year goes to the supper market. So congratulations. We're applauding and they're not up here, so get them up here. So B. Clark, on behalf of the Active Transportation Committee. Kim Holland, the green team here with the town. Thank you. Mara Bray, she's here. Thank you. Green team as well, great stuff. Thank you. Greg Young, in terms of the parking plan implementation. Oh, Chris is here. Chris Chawalchuk, congratulations. He was there teaching us every week for a while. Congratulations. And I don't think there's everybody else is here, but Jody Hendricks, Craig Genesee, William Underwood, and Joel Stepley. Congratulations to them. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And Councillor Kersey was there, Vicky Van Rivenbeek, come on up here as well. But it was, to be singled out in the province, to win this award is huge.
Tremendous.
And it's a great honor, and we appreciate the volunteers and the staff working together with the community to turn this into an amazing award. So, I mean, an amazing event. So congratulations on the award.
Bravo.
Well worth it. Mark's gonna organize this
Yep.
again.
Scooch in again, and B, I'll get you right in the middle. Hold that up
My
nice.
bicycle pin?
Perfect. Hold that award nice and proud. Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it.
Until the end of the meeting.
Oh, okay. Glad you qualified then. I'll be here tomorrow.
Until the end of this meeting.
My wife would be mad because I wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you, members of council and ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Those are some of the things that make our community, right? It's our youth, it's our community coming together for things like Summerfest and also every week for Supper Market. So congratulations, those are huge achievements for our small yet mighty town. So congratulations all, thank you. Now we have to get into mundane things like minutes of meetings, so let's do that. It's been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved that council receive the March 1st, we're now going to the Regional Council report. Be it resolved that the council receive the March 1st, 2018 Regional Council's report for information. I didn't mean to imply that this wasn't exciting. Any comments or questions on that councilor's report? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. We look forward to Regional Council this Thursday night. Now we have those minutes. It's been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. Minutes of the special meeting of council held on March 5th, 2018, and also the council meeting minutes held on March 5th, 2018. Errors or omissions in those minutes? I do want to thank Councillor Papp for chairing those meetings. I was away with some staff at that time, but thank you very much certainly for chairing those meetings as the deputy, and I think Councillor Ribbiak also stepped in and part of the meeting, so thank you. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Now we move to consent agenda items to be considered in block. Are there any items that members of council would like to lift for separate consideration? Okay, there being none, it's going to take me a bit to read through this. So it's been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved that the following consent agenda items be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved as applicable. 9.1, presentation of recommendations arising from the Committee of the Whole meeting and their minutes of March 6, 2018, and the minutes of those committee meeting under 9.2. Staff reports of routine nature for information or action. Be it resolved that council received the application from Glen A. Green School dated February 9th, 2018. The council approved the request from Glen A. Green School for the installation of a new electronic sign at the front of their building to promote and inform students, parents, and residents of upcoming events and activities. We also have the 2017 Statement of Council and Board Remuneration. Be it resolved the council receive the 2017 Statement of Council and Board Remuneration for information. We have some action correspondence of a routine nature. 613 Lincoln and Welland Army Cadet Corps Tag Day. Be it resolved that the correspondence be received and the council approved Saturday, March 24th, 2018 as Tag Day for the Army Cadets in the town of Pelham. Information correspondence items. Be it resolved the following correspondence items be received for information. Pelham Cares Inc. A thank you letter from Diane Durley. Information from the region, which includes the Smarter Niagara Incentive Program funding requests, information on the region's 2017 employment inventory results, information on the status of the new official plan update that the region is working on, information regarding the safe drinking water training, and also there's in addition to receipt, there's a resolution where the region reaffirms their commitment to maintaining a safe and high-quality drinking water system and requests the Government of Ontario to require mandatory water training for elected municipal officials and regional councillors. So receiving that for information. We also have a couple of items of correspondence, one from the town of Grimsby regarding the resolution from the town of Pelham Finances, where they endorsed the City of Welland's resolution strongly objecting to Regional Council and its audit committee interfering in a local municipality's finances. We also have one from the City of Welland, in which they endorse Port Colborne, Thorold's, and St. Catharines resolutions regarding Regional Council's approval of the audit committee's recommendation respecting the town of Pelham's financial position. We also have a letter here from the City of Welland, a resolution regarding the Ontario Good Roads Association, and the motion the council received the correspondence regarding the municipal class environmental assessment process for information. Also have one from the City of Welland. Be it resolved, the council received the correspondence of the City of Welland dated March 12, 2018 regarding Regional Council Report LTNCC, an Integrated Customer Policies Transit Services for information. We have a City of Thorold resolution regarding the request for financial assistance in the development of human trafficking, and we're receiving that for information. We have an Association of Municipalities of Ontario policy update regarding cannabis implementation and municipal funding announcements. And finally, on correspondence, we have the Niagara Regional Housing fourth quarter report to the Board of Directors, and we're receiving that for information. We have some action items. The Niagara Regional Housing Property Tax Exemption Analysis. Be it resolved, the council received correspondence from the region regarding the tax exemption analysis respecting Niagara Regional Housing Property Tax Assessment for information. Committee minutes for information, Committee of Adjustment minutes of December 5th, 2017, January 9th, and February 6th, 2018. Then we have Library Board minutes of January 24th, 2018, Pelham Active Transportation Committee minutes of January 16th, and finally the Community Center Oversight Committee minutes of January 16th. Thank you for your patience, Council. Are there any questions or comments on any of those items? Councilor Ribbiak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wonder through you if I might ask either staff or perhaps our council representative to the Oversight Committee for an update on the minutes that are there as 9.7.4. The minutes are dated January 16th. They indicate some potential challenges around finding brick masons and achieving tile. But it's been 2 months since then, and I wonder whether we might have an update as to where we are with regard to those issues.
Mr. Ciano?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To answer the councillor's questions, both those issues have been resolved. To our understanding, there was additional masons that were brought in. There was a concern a while back that the lack of trades would potentially push the schedule back. However, they've responded to the call, and I'm happy to report that that issue's been resolved.
Okay, thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you. And the tiles have
The
arrived?
same issue. The tiles were sourced by a local company, and they were coming from overseas, and there was an issue with the tile size. The local companies dealt with that, and they've cut them down to the size that the contract called for, and again, the issue's been resolved.
Thanks, good to hear, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything further on that item? Councillor Kersey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, fully agree with Mr. Sayal on what he has said. One thing that might be of interest to us, because it's a local business that's involved, is Star Tile was awarded the contract to handle the flooring. And I must say that at our last oversight committee, representatives from Ball Construction were raving about the talent, about the quality and the efficiency with which they're doing it. In fact, they're almost ahead of schedule now. So it's a complete turnaround. The place is coming along very well, and our local curmudgeon, Doug, who runs the job there, has it down to a science now where he has lists made up for all the trades and he checks them off every day. And if they don't get there, they know about it. So we have an ace in the hole there as well. So
Absolutely.
they're doing a fantastic job for us.
Well, thank you. So these minutes were approved at a recent meeting, I think it was last Tuesday.
Right.
So we look forward to the update on that. I think there was discussion, I did pop into the meeting. I think there was discussion about another update report in April to council on the oversight committee.
That's
So,
correct.
okay, great. So we look forward to that, but everything is moving along very well.
Yep.
Thank you for asking that. Anything further on that? What about some other items that councilors may have some questions or concerns with? Councilor Kersey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I originally was more concerned than I am now. I was a bit concerned about the Glenna Green sign, given the proximity to residences and the brightness of that sign at night. But as you read through the report, in fact, it has the capability that the brightness of the sign can be adjusted to the ambient light and timers. So I think it's something that we need to, our staff needs to be aware of. If we do get some complaints, there is the capability there to adjust it to satisfy the neighbors and so that we're not encroaching on their privacy and their enjoyment of their space. So that's the only thing I'd comment on, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to ask the CAO to comment on that, Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've encountered this situation before. It's quite correct that there has been issues. One example would be the electronic sign at Fire Station 2, and there had been complaints from neighbors about the brightness at night. Those signs are completely programmable, as is this one, so it was a lesson learned. And all of the other signs that we dealt with, there was one from a church, and there's been a couple others that it's a simple programming issue to deal with that problem if it so arises. So we're aware of it, and we'll make sure that it doesn't have an impact.
Okay, great, thank you very much. Anyone else on that issue? That was my concern. Anyone else on any of the other issues? Councillor Papp?
Very quickly, under the item dealing with the 5.9512, the AMO policy update, cannabis implementation, I just want us to keep a close eye on as this funding starts to flow. There are some impacts on local government. And particularly, I'm looking at bylaw officers designating to public consumption complaints, et cetera, et cetera. Not that, I hope most of it will be handled by both provincial and local police forces, but in case some of these other areas come out, I know the chief's not here, but we should monitor this as this moves along. Since the other issues, I must have been resolved. I have not received, nor I think others have received complaints about the smell. Things seem to be on the even keel. But this one in particular, I thought, if we're going to be involved in doing some of this public consumption complaints, then we'll need to be very careful on how we handle that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else to that matter? The AMO update? Okay, any other items? Councillor Papp, go ahead.
Very
sorry.
quickly, the Niagara Regional Housing Property Tax Exemption, I spent a lot of time looking through this, and I thought, I'll wait and see whether yourself and Councillor Beatty, whether that comes back. Part of the incentive of this is if they move ahead with the exemption, and the excess funds would be used to create other affordable housing units. So I'm not sure what decision point you are at, Mr. Mayor, but as you know, we are developing some housing here for seniors and other possible. So the question is, how does this impact on us? What could happen, what should happen, so that we are able to receive some of the partial funding? And I don't know where council is, the regional council is on this yet, but it's a, and secondly, as I noticed, as you probably know, that there was some documentation, or I got received, that there's some movement afoot to re-examine the role of Niagara Regional Housing and how it would be undertaken. So all these things sort of go lockstep together, so it will have an impact as we develop our own strategy on affordable housing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to answer the first question or concern, I think the idea came about as members of Niagara Regional Housing were looking at their budget and saying that,
Right.
this portion of the budget goes to pay property tax.
Right.
Well, wait a minute. We're an entity and we get a lot of our funding from
Right.
The municipalities. And so they started looking at the idea of not paying property tax, exempting, and again, it's only Niagara Regional Housing properties, not
Public housing.
other
Yeah,
properties.
it's public housing, yeah. That's right.
But that would have an impact on those municipalities' it'll be a net sum gain really for the region, but it'll be an impact for those municipalities like St. Catharines and Welland and Niagara Falls, et cetera, that have the housing. So that has to be something that those councils are kind of thinking about and have to deal with. Are they willing to forego that portion? Or would they want the budget to change somehow, or they remain whole on that or not?
Right.
And then the idea is that if there is some money there left on the regional side, that actually you don't reduce the budget, but rather you keep the budget at the same and then use the regional dollars
To distribute.
to build more housing.
That's
So kind
correct.
of circulate in and
That's
invest
correct.
into more housing.
Yeah, good.
So it's still something that I think we're waiting to hear from the area municipalities on that are most
Okay.
impacted. You saw the list, Pelham doesn't have one that's in this situation any longer, so that it's not a factor. But it is something that they're working on. They were hopeful to get it done for this tax year, and they haven't, but they are going to hopefully get it done for next tax year.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Anyone else on that matter, Counselor?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can you just clarify, in that correspondence received from Niagara Regional Housing, point 1, that this information is being circulated to the area municipal councils for input,
Right.
and that they're looking for input by March 31st. So what are, it's just not clear to me, what are they actually asking for?
Essentially, I think they're looking to those councils
Yep.
that may be affected by this
Such
to
as Welland or
provide,
St. Catharines.
to provide that
Okay.
input, and I think we have that resolution on another part of the agenda from the city of Welland with their,
Right, okay.
with their
thank
input
you.
on that.
Yep, thank you.
So I think should council want to give input, we could, but we're not impacted in that way
Fine.
yet. So we're impacted minimally, I guess. Okay, I
Okay.
hope that helps.
Yeah, no, that helps, thank you.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Pat?
And very quickly, I agree minimally, but the fact is that any surplus that would occur, and they did develop RGI units or the red supplement, we would want to be one of those that would be
Right.
bidding on those units. Tax-wise, you're right, it doesn't impact us. But the creation of any other excess, you want to call it surplus funds for housing development, we want to be on that bandwagon for sure. So as those units are developed, then we'd say the town of Pelham's interested in XYZ number of units. That's good. I'll wait and see how this all,
If council wanted, we could lift it and say that we're in favor of the idea and that hopefully it will increase the rent geared income units. Council could do that if that's what you're saying, Councillor.
I prefer to do that. I would like to lift it and move that we do that. Council King?
You'll second that, Councillor?
No,
Oh.
if I may, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Unless it's a Niagara Regional Housing building, a private corporation can set their target number of
Right.
RGI units.
Right.
So that may not be in keeping with what Councillor Papp is suggesting.
Okay.
All right, well, you know what, I'll withdraw. Let's hold until we get clarification on how this whole program will pan out. What I'm doing at a higher level is to make sure that that's available, that
Want the
we have
dollars
access.
reinvested?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it in a nutshell. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor King.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other items? Just a question, and I didn't prime staff on this, so sorry, Ms. Weens. Two of the items that are there, and really just one of them, the Smarter Niagara Incentive Program funding requests. I think the region was looking for a response, were they not, on that one? No, it's just being circulated. There was another one that they were looking for a response on. Maybe I was thinking of the housing. Just wondering about the impact of the incentive program funding requests on Pelham. Are we aware of that?
With respect to the region, we didn't have any new requests that were approved in the last quarter of 2017, so there is no impact on us. So these were with respect to applications that received municipal approval at the local government level and hadn't yet made their way to the region. And so the region is now getting those requests. That's
Okay.
what that was about.
Okay, great. Glad to hear that. And we'll continue to monitor the other aspects of the official plan and the employment inventory results, which is interesting as well. Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Weens, I'm going to call the question then on those items. Thanks for the discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Now we move to presentation and consideration of reports. First, we have the mayor's report. I'll quickly go through this. It's always a pleasure and honor to report to council on the various activities. This is really for the month of February. Had a few meetings with some members of Parliament and Provincial Parliament, Mr. Allison and Mr. Osterhoff, so thank you very much for making time to each of those members, talking about Pelham issues and municipal, federal, provincial issues. In the case of Mr. Allison, I did highlight the new seniors housing that's coming up and the potential for involvement of CMHC. Very pleased to attend the Advocating for Black Excellence Awards, and congratulations to the winners and the nominees. Tiana Thomas was the winner, and the other nominees for the second annual Advocating Black Excellence Awards. Very pleased to be part of that. It's a very inspiring evening to be part of. Pleased that members of council joined in and celebrated at the annual Fenwick Firefighters Association installation dinner, and it's always a time for us to thank firefighters and their families for their ongoing dedication and their service and their sacrifice to our community. It was great that staff came together in the middle of February to participate in what's called the Mayor's Cup Hockey Tournament. It's part of the Portisapaction, I think is what they call it in the city of Port Colborne. So thank you very much for members of Pelham staff and firefighters for playing in that, and congratulations on making it to the Division B finals. Thanks to some members of council for attending, and also members of the business community. 240, I think it was, from business and community leaders from across Niagara for coming to the Southern Niagara Mayor's presentation at Lipa Park. It was great that Pelham hosted it. Overflow parking onto the street that day, so thanks to staff for not ticketing those vehicles. Topics included community updates, economic development, regional and local council interaction, and cannabis. Very pleased to participate in the Business After 5 at Mary Lee's Bridal and Fashion. Pleased to see a local business doing very well. Participated in the RE/MAX Niagara Commercial Real Estate Grand Opening, and Pelham resident Jeff Davidson is, congratulations to him, along with Angelo Morocco for their grand opening of the new commercial real estate office in St. Catharines, but it's serving all of Niagara. Very interesting discussion held at the, hosted by the Niagara Industrial Association. They had a lunch, and the president and CEO of GE Canada, M. Allen, and also Peter Hall, VP and Chief Economist for the Export Development Bank of Canada, presented very, very inspiring as well. Key messages: being prepared for the wave of innovation and disruptive technology. Play on the fringe, that's where disruptive innovation occurs, and also seize the opportunity. So very inspiring for members of the business community, I think, to hear that. I was pleased to attend on your behalf the Niagara Entrepreneur of the Year Awards. I try to attend this when significant businesses and individuals from Pelham are receiving awards. Congratulations to Larry Boggio for his Lifetime Achievement Award, Len Panicetti as well, and all the winners and nominees at the Entrepreneur of the Awards. It as well is also a very inspiring event. And the themes of the night were vision, hard work, sleepless nights, and also risk-taking. I was pleased to attend the Pelham Panthers versus the River Lions at E.L. Crosley. It was very pleased to cheer on the Panthers during a great wheelchair basketball game. with the River Lions, and kudos to the Fonthill Kinsmen for hosting a pizza party lunch. And I was honored to drop the puck at the last regular home game for the Pelham Panthers Junior B season in the current arena. The next season will be in the new Meridian Community Center. And finally, members of the community may have seen the Arches Pink on the 28th day of February. That's Pink Shirt Day to raise awareness of bullying. That is my report. It's been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Lane. Be it resolved that the mayor's report dated March 19th, 2018 be received for information. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. We had an additional item added to the agenda. It's been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved that Council received the correspondence of March 12th, 2018 from the Niagara Central Dorothy Rundling Airport requesting nominees to an ad hoc committee to define the consensus position reflecting the airport's interests in relation to the negotiations around the uptake of the airport by the region. And the report is looking for two members, a member of council and a staff representative, to work on this group. I'm going to turn it over to Councillor Ribbiak. I was at the meeting where this was discussed, but Councillor Ribbiak is the chair of the commission. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to our clerk for providing copies of this correspondence for all of us. The correspondence was written by myself as chair of Niagara Central Airport Commission, and as you say, it was a request to all four of our stakeholder municipalities, that is Welland, Port Colborne, and Wainfleet included, to provide participation in an ad hoc committee whose purpose is to determine what it is that we, the four municipalities who own the airport, want to achieve in their negotiations with the region. You'll recall that in September of 2016, the region passed a resolution indicating a willingness to negotiate with us, with the municipalities, for the uptake of governance and control of the airports. There were some hurdles. We've cleared those hurdles. They're out of the way, so now we're ready to begin. But it is important for the owners of the airport, i.e. the four municipalities, to have a position in common, so that when we sit down, or when whomever representing the municipalities sit down with regional staff to negotiate this, that they know what it is we're trying to achieve. As Mr. Mayor has pointed out, there was a meeting a week ago Friday, asked for representatives, actually asked for the mayors and the CAOs of the four municipalities to meet with me to talk about how to go about creating this common position. No one has really given that a whole lot of thought. The plan that came out of that discussion was let's put an ad hoc committee together, populated as indicated in this letter, one person from staff, one person from the elected council, meet early in April. I envision not more than 2 meetings, one to go through the ideas, the second to finalize those ideas, and ultimately to bring that report to all four councils for approval, because I think that the position is going to have to be approved by all four councils in order to give it legitimacy and weight. And that will allow us then to approach the CAO of the region and say, okay, so let's get at her. Let's figure out what's going on. My hope is that if we have a position, it'll give us an opportunity to also talk to NDA, the Niagara District Airport, with regard to that. Obviously, a position can be strengthened greatly if there is an integrated position between both airports. It would make the whole thing simple. So the outcome of this meeting will be extremely helpful with that as well. So, Mr. Mayor, I don't know how you want to proceed in providing us with the names of nominees. I know you've participated on the on the commission in the past, and you're aware of the issues. All the issues have to come back to council anyway. You might think about it, or you might want to delegate. And but I think that it's kind of important. I think time is of the essence. We need to have people nominated so we can get the word out when we're going to meet, get this thing going, get it done and dusted as quickly as we can. That's my report.
Okay, thanks very much.
Hopefully we can come up with some-
Just a comment, it felt like the meeting was, to use the parlance of the creative problem-solving process, it was a pre-consult, really, to essentially say, okay, who do we need in the room to make the decision in terms of the direction that this will go? And it was felt that you wanted to have one representative from council, mayor or councillor, and then also a staff person to participate in this discussion to talk about how this could work and it could be uploaded. I think the city of Welland had hoped that it would be done, I think, by next year, is the indication that they had. So, and now with the environmental assessments completed, you know, I think time is of the essence. So I'm pleased with the direction. I'd be pleased to serve on this committee if council would be so willing. Councillor Papp, you signaled
Well, I would
comment or
like to add,
questions.
I could add, I'm just as well aware of those issues, but I have been involved recently, but acquiesce to you. I'm been involved from the very beginning with the airport, when I was part of the airport transportation, or what I call it, strategic
Transportations,
planning, but you go
yeah.
right ahead, but the issues are still the same.
Right.
You know, do we want one airport? How's it gonna function? And as long as those messages are being carried, the possibilities, the reason I say the possibilities of this airport are endless. So we've got one chance and one chance at it, but by all means, you continue on, but I don't want to lose. As you know, we sat there and we listened to all kinds of interesting scenarios, and now we're at the decision point. What do we want to see happen? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any others? Councillor Kersey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I'm a bit obtuse here because I'm looking at the steering committee that basically runs the airport, intimately familiar with all of the issues that are at the airport.
Yep.
I look at them virtually as an advisory committee with reference to the operations and the issues within the airport. So it seems redundant to me to create another committee.
Good point.
That, why not, if you want to add some staff members, I can see that, but have them formulate a report to bring back to council that we could have a discussion around here and take a position as a town. Just throwing it out there for discussion, but I could no more sort of sit on this committee than fall off a log, because I really am not overly familiar with the issues, other than what Councillor Ribbiak has brought to us from time to time, so
Right.
that's just my thought, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks. Let's hear from Councillor Ribbiak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and as you can recall, Mayor John Maloney asked the same question in the meeting that we had a week or so ago. My answer to him was the commission is not really in a position to make decisions about its own existence. This is kind of one pay grade higher than we can function at. As I said to Mayor John, we could do it, but you got to tell us to do it, because we don't have the right within the legislation that governs us, the ability to do it for ourselves. So the position is open. My preference would be to have others involved in this, staff for sure, because there's a lot of staff work I think that it's going to need to get done. We don't have it within the airport. But to have additional voices as well from council, I think would be very helpful. I don't see that an intimate knowledge of the fine details of the airport is as important here. This is pretty high-level stuff. Who owns it? Who gets the money? Who puts the money in? What does a governance authority look like? It's really a discussion at that level that we need to have. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thanks. And just to add to that, I think some of the key components are, because it is a jewel, as Councillor Papp indicated, how might we ensure that it remains operating, it remains vibrant, that it is an asset to our community and also this part of the Niagara Peninsula. How do we guard against the idea of somebody uploading it and then not handling it, or trying to do something else with it than what is being done by the commission? So it's sort of an idea to keep it prolonged and running and healthy as well, which is a key factor. I'm going to turn to the CAO in terms of Staff, Mr. CAO, do you have a recommendation? Are you putting your hand up, or?
I would like to recommend the treasurer, although I have not had the opportunity to consult her about that. Except for the email I just sent you 2 seconds ago.
No pressure.
No pressure.
None taken.
If she doesn't do it, I'll do it.
CAO or designate?
Sure.
Good job.
Okay, so, so it looks like we have CAO or designate.
I don't care, go ahead,
Yeah.
you know, and I know,
Okay.
we both
Yeah,
know.
okay.
And all of us, as long as we.
And
brief-
myself, I'd like to
Yeah.
volunteer with that, if that's okay, and perhaps we can have a couple of conversations around it.
Yeah, we need to form a position on where we stand, and both the mayor and I know there's been some, and I don't wanna belabor this, there's all kinds of activity, as many of you know, going on, GE's building here, there's all kinds of opportunities here. What we don't wanna see is lost, and I don't mean that to be negative, lost in some other ideas of how this airport's got major potential.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may ask, that I be, I guess, officially notified of this. I'm looking for the same from the other 3 municipalities. As soon as I have the names assembled, I will be in touch with everyone. We'll figure out what dates and times we can meet in common. And as I say, hopefully by the mid-April, we'll have a position to deal
Great.
with.
And just for council's information, you know, having come out of that meeting, I certainly see Councilor Ribbiak as being a resource as the chair of the commission, so, and there may be other resources, maybe the vice chair that I want to bring, and staff, et cetera, so.
Okay.
Okay, so with your indulgence, it's that the CAO and or designate be the staff representative and the mayor be the representative, and perhaps Councilor Papp, you can, if I can't make a meeting,
I'll
you'll be the,
just- yeah,
you'll be
if
the
that's okay with
designate.
you, I'll be the designate, I'll
Okay.
step in.
I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you all.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved, the council received the concept sheet proposed 2018 municipal grant allocations, and the council approved the 2018 grant allocations of $18,020 waived facility fees, $7,480 cash allocations, and $21,210 estimated for in-kind labor requests as outlined in the 2018 municipal grant allocation summary. Questions, comments?
Good.
So the grant allocations and this municipal grant allocation, the idea behind this was to assist, especially some of the service clubs in the town, to do what we just honored here, to bring the community closer together, to raise funds for various charities in our community to serve the public. And it looks like that's what is being achieved through this, so we certainly appreciate staff. Is there any, are we ready for calling the question? Yep. And then I will. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item has been moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved, the council designate the Pelham Summerfest 2018 as municipally significant event, and that the clerk be authorized to make application for a special occasion permit for Pelham Summerfest on Thursday, July 19th, 2018, Friday, July 20th, Saturday, the 21st, and July 22nd, 2018, 4 days of free family fun. That the mayor and clerk be authorized to enter into agreements with 3 licensed establishments located within the Summerfest festival area who have requested to be included in the festival licensing pursuant to the town's application for a special occasion permit. Those establishments being Zest Kitchen, 1856 Social, and Gelato Village. That the town of Pelham offer no objection to the request from Zest Kitchen, 1856 Social, and Gelato Village for their respective applications for a temporary extension to their existing liquor sales license from the Alcohol Gaming Commission of Ontario during Pelham Summerfest. subject to the following condition: that the selling and serving of alcohol to the approved outdoor area shall occur only between the hours of 4 p.m. and 11 p.m. on Friday, July 20th. All patios must be clear of patrons by 12 midnight, and between 11 a.m. and midnight on Saturday, July 21st, and the outdoor area shall all be cleared by 1 a.m. on Sunday, July 22nd, 2018. The council authorize a variance to the Town of Pelham noise bylaw, being a bylaw to regulate and control noise for the purpose of facilitating the Summerfest musical venue being conducted as part of the event from 4 p.m. Friday until 1 a.m. on Sunday, July 22nd, 2018. The council authorized the following road closures: Pelham Town Square from the rear entrance to the Pelham Plaza to 60 meters west from 4 p.m. Thursday, July 19th to 10 p.m. on the same day. Pelham Town Square entrance off Pelham Street from 7 a.m. Friday to noon Monday, July 23rd, 2018. Pelham Street from Regional Road 20, Highway 20, to south property line of 1419 Pelham Street from 7 a.m. Friday to 1 a.m. on Sunday, July 22nd. Pelham Street from the south property line of 1419 Pelham Street to College Street from 7 a.m. Saturday to 6 p.m. on the same day. And finally, Pelham Town Square from 150 meters west of Station Street to its termination at the Fonthill Plaza entrance from 7 a.m. Sunday to 5 p.m. on the same day. Questions, comments? Councillor Durley, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's just one question that jumps out at me now. Several of these places that are going to be part and parcel of the special occasion permit in the festival area are taken care of in this resolution. However, there are some that do have licenses that will not be included on this. How are they affected by events at Summerfest?
Okay, let's get an answer from Ms. Van Ravensway.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. We work with the other restaurants and breweries that will be selling within their establishment, and we set up and we make sure that there are security guards at the gates, as well as they realize, or at their entrances, as well as they realize their responsibility within that period of time.
The one thing that concerns me is people that are investing into the festival itself are paying for the privilege. You can enter their establishments or their makeshift establishments, which are in the patio area, and that's not a problem. However, those that aren't really participating in this can still sell the product, and they can take that product out into the festival area?
Ms. Van Ravensway?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Absolutely not. Anything that they sell must stay within their premises. And anyone that is in the festival area cannot take a drink into their area.
Okay, so this will be enforced.
That's why there's security at the
Okay,
gate, at
okay,
their
thank you.
entrance.
That's one question that did jump out at me, because in the past, I know Summerfest was selling tall boys, and at the various places in the street area, which was closed off, small cans appeared, and they were not part of the festival. So, this is something that I think needs to have some attention, because in fact, the special occasion permit may come in jeopardy if in fact this happened.
I think that was in the past. Is that correct, Ms. Van Ravensway? There were some additional venues that were, especially with a pizzeria that used to be there, they were involved in.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The establishments can sell the small bottles as well, or cans as well, and the ones that are participating can come in and out as well. So if you've seen someone with a small one, they probably came from an establishment that we do have a agreement with.
Okay, I don't want to dwell on, but there was a confusion in the past, and as long as that's been looked at, that's fine. Thank you. Yep, thank you. That's
Okay,
my
thank you very
concern
much.
about that. Not trying to put the Summerfest Festival in jeopardy of their no special
course,
occasion
yeah.
permit regulations. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Councillor Kersey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a brief comment. That very much is a concern for the Summerfest committee. And in fact, last year, Councillor Durley, we doubled our security to take care of the porousness of the street, both into establishments that were selling alcohol to ensure that they weren't coming back out onto the street and into the festival area if they hadn't extended their license into our area. But similarly, that people who had bought a beer, for example, under the arches from the town, weren't trying to take their beer into the other licensed establishments. So it's a concern. It's something we have to work very diligently at, as well as looking after all the other enforcement issues that the AGCO expects a license holder to undertake. So it's a big cost for Summerfest, but it's very, very important. If we lost our festival license, it would be very devastating to the festival. No
Due
question.
diligence is the important thing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
thanks very much. Anyone else to this resolution? Ms. Van Ravensway, I think I asked this last year when we did this, but the timing of the closure on Pelham Street, there's kind of two sections there. There's the one section and then it gets expanded. And it is 7 a.m. on Friday. Is that, but I believe part of it was open or something. Can you just comment on how that worked last year? I know there was some concern on the street.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the closure will be, it will be open to businesses
Okay.
up until noon on the Friday.
Okay,
And there will be someone at the College Street, but they will welcome people in. The issue is, we want to make sure that they realize it's not a through street. You can only get to Churchill, and you cannot go up Churchill. So that's why there's someone there instructing if you have a appointment at the eye doctor's, you're welcome to go in and have your appointment, and you come out the same way. It's just through communication. And we will, once again, work with all of those businesses along that area to make sure that they realize they're welcome to come in, have their hair done, and they go out the same way until noon.
that's perfect. And I think that needs to be clear, sort of local traffic only sort of thing, not
Correct.
through traffic. But I think that's important for the businesses, so I'm pleased that you're going to be working on that communication with them. Thank you very much. Unless there's anything else, I'm prepared to call the question, and I will. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. I may have these out of order here. Thank you. There was an additional item that was added here. It's been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Lane. Be it resolved, the council receive the unissued debt/debenture substitution report, and the council approve the debt substitution for capital projects as outlined in Appendix 1. The recommendation is to reduce the unissued debt balance of $9,900,000 to $4.7 million, so $4,763,339. I'm going to turn to the treasurer for just kind of an overview of this. Madam Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what we have here is an update on the unissued debt balance. So as you recall, during the budget process, the capital budgets, there are projects that are listed, and for each project, there's a funding mechanism. So how are we going to fund these projects? Are they going to be funded from reserves, or are we taking debt out? So once council has approved that a certain project will be funded by debt, then we sort of have, it shows up as our unissued debt balance, and it's a number that we watch closely as we look at all the debt that the town can take on. So what we do at the end of the year, what we did now as part of our year-end review, and we're working on our year-end right now, is that we looked at all the projects that council has approved in the past, the capital projects that were earmarked to be funded with debt, debentures to be taken out, and we said, do we still need that full amount? And so when we looked at it, Some of the projects were funded, you can see the description, it's called debt substitution. So you substituted the debt for something else, either a grant, money out of the reserves. And so that's what we have listed here. We've updated. And also, we also have a project here, for instance, the Pelham Street Hurricane Stormwater Project, that it had an original debt amount, and the project was red circled. And then part of the work that was done was some design work, and that was funded partially by the gas tax. So this is just to an update for us to, an update for council to approve the changes of the original capital projects that were approved by debt. Hopefully it's not too confusing.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay.
And I believe, if you might, some of this you hinted at your presentation at the end of November, that
Right.
there was a possibility that some of these
Right.
would be changed.
So when I did the presentation to council on November 29th, we had the number of $9.9 million, but now that we're in March and we're going through the year-end procedures, we have better information and that we can provide a better update to where we're at with the unissued debt.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions from members of council? Councilor Papp?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the Madam Treasurer, just quickly refresh my memory. The money for the Maple Acre Library reserves, that's money that's already there, right? That reserve is there?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's been funded through the reserve, yes, the cash.
Dedicated to that library?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yes.
fine, thank you.
So,
Okay, great, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, there being none, I'm gonna call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Thanks for clearing that up. Now we move to bylaws. Council, I had asked, because council had not seen this, the first bylaw, I don't recall ever having a report on it, so that I asked that we perhaps not deal with the 3 readings of the first bylaw, but rather that we do the first and second, and we can ask questions of it and then approve it at our next meeting. So it has been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the town of Pelham, having given due notice, having given due consideration to the following bylaw, do now read a first and second time. Bylaw 3979, 2018, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter in a license agreement with Good Sports Excellence for the purpose of granting a license to occupy and operate out of a designated portions of the Meridian Community Center for the property known municipally as 55 Wellspring Way, and that the bylaw be forwarded to the next regular meeting of council for final reading. I'm just gonna ask the CAO to, or is it the treasurer, who's gonna be answering on this? Madam Treasurer, to just give us an overview of this. Again, this is kind of the first time that council was aware of, I mean, we knew it was coming, we just didn't hear the results of the tender.
I'll just get my notes here. Okay, so we had a tender through Mr. Mayor that, the tender was posted on March 23rd, 2017, and it was posted for 27 business days. It closed on May the 1st of 2017. We only received 1 submission for that tender. The references were checked, and the references came back very good, and the tender was awarded.
Okay? Thank you very much. So are there any questions for staff? Councillor Kersey?
No questions, Mr. Mayor, just a comment. Read through the lease document, pretty much a standard form document. The operator appears to be a good operator, and I think will be an asset to the community center, so would be pleased to endorse his involvement.
Okay, thank you. Local business right here on Pelham Street. Any others? I think the vendor is quite excited about this possibility and was hoping that we could do some sort of signing ceremony, so
That'd be great.
that could occur at our next meeting
Yeah.
as part of the 3rd reading, and that's kind of the other reason why we would do it this way. So unless there's any other questions, I'm going to call the question on the 1st and 2nd reading. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration the following bylaws, do now read a first, second, and third time and do pass the same, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws. Bylaw 3980 being a bylaw to designate the property known municipally as 1141 Maple Street, legally described as Lot 2, N.A. East Cambro Street, Plan 703 Pelham, Part Lot 1, N.A. East Cambro Street, Pelham being parts 1, 2, 3, and 4, 59R-7128, and as in RO 104404, STRO 209833 in Pelham. Also a bylaw number 39881 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into agreements with 3 establishments licensed by the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario that are situate within the Summerfest license area, those establishments being Zest Kitchen, 1856 Social, and Gelato Village, for the purpose of obtaining a special occasions permit for the Summerfest event to be held on Friday, July 20th and Saturday, July 21st, and to repeal bylaw 3863, 2018. Questions or comments on those bylaws? That's the first bylaw here is the former Quaker house and designating that as a historic venue. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the following bylaw be read a first, second, and third time and passed. Bylaw 3982 to adopt, ratify, and confirm the proceedings of Council of the Town of Pelham and held at its regular meeting on the 19th day of March 2018. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. It's been moved by Councillor Rivak, seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved, this regular meeting of council be adjourned until the next regular meeting scheduled for Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.